Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Have you ever stopped to wonder about the hidden mechanics behind the prices we literally see every single day? Whether you're just grabbing a piece of fruit at the local market, or you're a massive manufacturer shipping thousands of units cross-country, that price tag, it's almost never just a random number pulled out of thin air. Today, we're opening up a kind of exclusive playbook. We're going to reveal exactly how businesses strategically pull the levers on their pricing to shape our buying behavior, manage their own costs, and, ultimately drive that bottom line. Okay, so here's our game plan for today. We'll be covering the art of pricing, discounts and allowances, geographic pricing strategies, pricing a new product, and fixed versus flexible pricing. Let's get right to it. So imagine you're running a business, right? And you've finally set a base or a list price for your product. You might be thinking, great, the hard work is done. But what actually happens next? The truth is, that list price is rarely the end of the story. You immediately have to start adjusting it to account for constantly shifting variables. Like, who's buying? Where are they located? Exactly how much are they buying at once? Are they paying in cash? Basically, that list price, it's really just your starting line.
Which brings us to Section 1. Discounts and allowances.
Let's look at exactly how manufacturers tweak those list prices to give buyers specific incentives. The most common way, by far, is the quantity discount, and it generally comes in two distinct flavors. First up, we've got the cumulative quantity discount. Think of this kind of like a loyalty program. It rewards long-term patronage by giving you a discount based on your total purchases over a set period, usually a year. So the more you buy over time, the bigger your deferred discount. On the flip side, we have the non-cumulative quantity discount. This one rewards a single massive volume purchase. Think about going to the market, right? If you buy just one banana, it might cost you 50 paise. But grab a whole dozen, the price drops to, say, 5 rupees for the bunch. You get an immediate discount simply because you bought in bulk all at once.
Now, let's look at the actual mechanics of these non-cumulative discounts, using what's called a slab system. Take this real-world example of a manufacturer selling soap cakes to a wholesaler. If you buy under 100 cakes, you're paying 5 rupees each. But watch what happens as the order size jumps. By the time you order 5,000 soap cakes or more, that price drops to 4 rupees and 70 paise per unit. So why exactly does the seller do this? Well, massive orders drastically reduce their selling, order processing, packing, and delivery costs. They're just passing those operational savings directly onto the high-volume buyer. It's a win-win.
But beyond just volume, businesses also offer functional incentives. A trade discount is a reduction given to distributing middlemen, your wholesalers and retailers, for performing necessary functions. We're talking storage, selling, customer service. It essentially compensates the distribution chain for doing the heavy lifting. Then you've got seasonal discounts. Imagine for a second that you manufacture winter refrigerators or heaters. Demand for those is incredibly uneven, right? So to encourage buyers to purchase and actually stock up during the off-season, you offer a seasonal discount. It's a brilliant way for sellers to smooth out their notoriously uneven production and sales cycles throughout the year.
Next up, we have the cash discount. This is specifically designed to encourage prompt payment on credit sales. A really standard industry term you might run into is 210 net 30. That simply means the full payment is due in 30 days, but if the buyer pays within just 10 days, they get a 2% discount. Now, a 2% discount doesn't really sound like much, does it? But let's look at the math here. Earning a 2% discount just for paying an invoice 20 days early, that actually translates to a massive 36% annualized return. And honestly, this brilliantly illustrates exactly why smart buyers jump at cash discounts and why sellers love using them to rapidly improve their liquidity and cut down on bad credit risks.
Moving right along to Section 2, Geographic Pricing Strategies.
So we're going to shift gears a bit. We've talked about discounts, but what about the actual physical logistics of moving these goods? If a factory is in one city and a customer is literally 1,000 miles away, who actually pays for the shipping? The first approach to this is called FOB factory pricing, which stands for free on board. Under this system, the base price is absolutely uniform at the factory gate. The seller's responsibility essentially ends the second the goods are loaded onto the transport. From there, the buyer pays the freight based on their exact distance. So if the factory price is 10 rupees, customer A, who lives nearby, might pay 12 rupees total, while customer C, who's far away, might pay 14 rupees because of those higher transport costs. It's perfectly equitable for sure, but it comes with a major risk. It essentially makes you a high-cost seller to those distant customers, which can push them right into the arms of local competitors, inadvertently creating a geographic monopoly.
Now, let's contrast that with an entirely different approach, uniform delivered pricing.
This is often called the postage stamp method because, well, just like mailing a letter, everyone pays the exact same rate regardless of their location. Here, the company calculates an average transportation cost and bakes it into a single, flat price. So in this scenario, every single customer pays exactly 13 rupees. It is incredibly easy to administrate, and it's absolutely perfect if you want to run a massive, nationally advertised pricing campaign without completely confusing your customers with regional price variations.
Sitting right between those two extremes are a couple of alternative strategies. Zone pricing breaks regions into blocks, so it's fairer on average, but it unfortunately hurts those customers who happen to sit right on the borders of those zones. Then you have freight absorption pricing. Now this is an aggressive move. Here the seller decides to absorb the freight costs themselves in order to penetrate a highly competitive market. They do this holding on to the hope that the rapidly increased volume of business will more than offset those heavy shipping expenses.
All right, Section 3, Pricing a New Product.
Okay, so we've mastered discounts and geography, but what happens when you're introducing something completely novel to the world? Setting the wrong initial price for a new product can permanently damage your profitability. When you launch, you generally face two completely opposite paths. The first is market skimming. The economist Joel Dean famously noted that skimming price is appropriate for a product that is a real innovation. The strategy here is to start with a very high price to, as they say, take the butter out of the milk. You target the buyers who are the least price sensitive first. Then, over time, you gradually lower the price to capture new, more price-conscious market segments. So, the crucial point here is knowing exactly when a business can actually pull off this skim-the-cream pricing. You can't just do it with any product, right? It requires very specific conditions. Demand needs to be inelastic, meaning people are going to buy it even if it's expensive. It targets an elite class of early adopters. Plus, the cost of producing small initial volumes shouldn't wipe out your margins. And, maybe most importantly, there must be a very low risk of immediate competitors swooping in to undercut you. When it's done right, your sales volume in units might start low, but those profit margins, they will be remarkably high. But what if you don't meet those criteria for skimming? Well, then you take the exact opposite approach: market penetration pricing. This is when you purposefully launch your new product at a very low initial price. The goal here isn't immediate high profit, it's rapid, aggressive market share. This is sometimes known as a keep-out or a preemptive strategy. By maintaining incredibly low profit margins, you purposefully deter big, powerful competitors from even bothering to enter the field. It secures a really strong defensive hold on the market for yourself.
And that brings us to Section 4, Fixed versus Flexible Pricing.
As we wrap up this toolkit, we've got to look at one final tactical consideration: point-of-sale negotiation. Under a fixed price policy, the seller charges the exact same price to all similar buyers. This relies heavily on transparency, like using unit pricing, where a store clearly displays the cost per ounce or per gram. That allows consumers to easily compare standard values. Any price changes under this fixed model are strictly governed by broad market considerations and company-wide policies, definitely not haggling. On the flip side, a flexible price policy keeps the door wide open to negotiation. That means price changes happen dynamically, customer by customer, based on bargaining. Depending on your retail environment, some buyers really demand the transparency of a fixed unit price tag, while others absolutely expect the flexibility of a good bargain. Wow, we've unpacked an incredible array of tools today. From the surprising math of cash discounts and the tricky geography of factory pricing, all the way to the high-stakes decisions of launching a brand new innovation. Every single price tag you see is the result of these logistical and psychological levers actively at work in our economy. So I'll leave you with this final thought. If you launched a brand new product tomorrow, with everything you now know about this pricing toolkit, which strategy would you use to capture your market? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and definitely keep your eyes peeled the next time you're checking out at the register.